If you're going to spend over $55,000 on a luxury SUV, well, I think it's safe to say you're going to be expecting a lot from that SUV. But this 2019 Acura MDX A Spec SH all-wheel drive delivers in every way possible. Not only from an exterior standpoint, as this car is a very gorgeous design, but also under the hood, there's a surprising amount of technology and options, but of course also in that gorgeous alcantara and leather interior. We're gonna get into all of that in today's video. I'm gonna walk you guys around the exterior and interior luxury features and options, as well as the performance specs of this car. So let's get right into the video. One of the biggest selling points for the 2019 MDX is this gorgeous exterior design. It features a lot of the same traditional Acura elements that you're going to see across the entire lineup, whether it's on the top of the line NSX supercar or the lowest lowly Acura sedan. They're all going to have a few basic features that create a uniform look for the brand, but also help all their cars look very stunning out on the road. No matter where you go in this 2019 MDX A Spec, it's going to look very cool in any situation. And that's because of a few things they've added, not only to the rest of the car, but in particular, the front end. And the main feature on the front end, of course, are these gorgeous LED Acura-style jewel eye headlamps. They feature 5 distinct bulbs inside them, as well as the Acura logo. And they make the front end of this car look very sharp and stunning. And they kind of flow some body lines into this Acura-style Pentagon grille. And what I love about this grille is that it makes the car look fast even when it's standing still. They've added all these really cool diamond designs in the interior of this grille and makes it look very, very sharp and futuristic, but they've also added an enormous Acura badge, not only to let everyone know that you paid extra for a luxury brand, but also to hide some of the different sensors associated with the safety systems that we're going to talk about once we're inside the car. So all around the front end of this car is very sharp and modern, and it looks great, but there is one downside, and that's in this A-Spec model, they've kind of flared out some of the different design elements to make it look sportier, which isn't a bad thing, except some of the elements they've flared out are fake, such as these vents they've added on the lower side of the front fascia. They're completely fake. They serve no purpose whatsoever except to look cool, and I understand the car doesn't really need all that extra cooling, but it's a bit unfortunate that on an expensive car like this, they do have fake elements. But I think overall that can be overlooked. So let's move along to the side of the car, where there aren't really quite as many features as the front, but it does still feature a cool, Acura look, very similar to the previous versions of SUVs that Acura has had. I love the style of these wheels. On the base MDX, you're only getting, regular 18-inch wheels with a few different options as far as the look goes. And those aren't bad, but I love these upgraded 20-inch dark chrome 5-spoke wheels that you get with the A-Spec package. They really create a dynamic look from the side of the car that really helps this car feel sportier. Same thing goes for the rear of the car. You've got a really nice looking spoiler lip back there, not only to help increase downforce and reduce drag, things like that, make the car more aerodynamic and sporty, but also to keep that rear windshield clean and free of dirt. And the entire design is topped off with more LEDs, I believe, in the taillights, as well as dual chrome exhaust tips. And not only do those exhaust tips look pretty cool, but they're also going to produce that sound from the V6 engine. And if you were to pop the hood of your MDX, you would find that the engine bay is not nearly as stunning as the extra design of this car. It's just a lot of matte black plastics all along this front cowl and over the engine cover. It's just everywhere. They don't let you see any of what's going on under there. And there really is a lot going on under there. The MDX is actually available with 3 different powertrain configurations, 2 different transmissions, and there's a ton of technology going on beneath all that matte black plastic. So the base MDX just comes with a 3.5 liter V-TEC V6 engine with around 290 horsepower, which should be plenty for a car like this, but if it's not, you can also get that same powertrain with a little bit of hybrid assistance and an all-wheel drive system. That's if you upgrade to a higher trim level. But then, of course, the big papa of all MDXs, you can upgrade to an SH all-wheel drive Sport A-Spec model with a 3-liter V6. That's very similar to the one found in the Acura NSX supercar, as well as hybrid assistance, all-wheel drive, extra electric motors for added power, and a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission for lightning-fast shifts. And that model should get around 321 horsepower, which is a massive amount for a car like this. So very cool what's going on with the powertrain, but it's not nearly as cool as what's going on in the interior of this car. So let's hop in and check it out. Hopping back into the interior of the 2019 MDX, I have to say that as gorgeous as the exterior of this car is, I had really high hopes for the interior as well, and unfortunately, it is just a little bit of a letdown, but for only one very specific reason. We're gonna get to that in just a minute, but first, let's take a moment to talk about some of the different features and technologies that you get not only with the base MDX, but also with this upgraded A Spec Sport package. The standard MDX comes with a leather interior and wood accents, as well as a 12-way power adjustable driver's seat. But because this is an A-Spec model, not only do we get some leather features, but we also get really nice alcantara along these sport seats, as well as on the door trim, as well as a really cool, somewhat carbon fiber-ish accent piece here along the entire dashboard, as well as on the center console and on those door panels. And that adds a really dynamic, sporty feel to this interior. The regular leather-wrapped 3-spoke MDX steering wheel has been updated with perforated leather for an even more sporty feel. It's also got an A-Spec badge at the bottom, as well as these gorgeous plastic paddle shifters right behind it. They do feel just a little bit too small and flimsy for me, especially in comparison with the overly thick steering wheel, but that's a very small feature that I imagine most MDX owners aren't even going to use. But if you were going to use these paddle shifters, what you'd first have to do is put the car into drive and then press that same drive button a second time to get it into sport mode. Then you would have to hit one of the paddle shifters to get it into manual mode. That's how it works across all of Hondas. In fact, even this entire gear selector system is pulled directly out of some Hondas I've reviewed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't look too bad in this interior, but maybe I would have liked to see something a little bit more luxurious in a luxury car like this. It's available with a tri-zone climate control, so you get a zone for the driver, the passenger, and the rear seat passengers. And the entire climate control system is controlled using this lower screen here on the dashboard. It is a touchscreen and it kind of supplements the upper 8-inch navigation screen. We're gonna get to that technology in just a minute, but moving along to the last screen in this car, it's right there between the two analog style gauges, and it can show different information that you may need while you're driving. You also get 4 standard USB charge ports. There's 2 in the front, as well as 2 in the back. Something I'm noticing is that they also included a ton of 12-volt power outlets. So right here beneath this folding panel, there's one. There's also a bunch of them here in this center console area, which has a really good design. So not only does the front armrest slide forward and backwards if you need a little bit more space for your arm to rest on, but it also folds up in about a million different ways. So you can open it up just a little bit to reveal a bit of a change drawer. You can open it up all the way to reveal a little rubberized pad where you can keep your phone while charging, or you can go ahead and fold that up as well to reveal just an enormous box in there, along with all those charge things I mentioned where you can plug in your phone, plug in your headphones, whatever you want to charge. There is a space for it to charge in there, as well as space for everything else you could ever imagine. So great design here with the center console area, very usable. But if you don't want to use it, again, just slide the armrest forward. You don't even have to think about it. The MDX also comes with a standard power moonroof, 2 very large cup holders on the center console area, and a cool feature called brake hold that will hold the brake for you if you're waiting in traffic. So all around, this is a great interior, comes with a ton of really nice luxury features, especially in this A-Spec package, and the overall design is pretty good. So why was it a letdown? Well, that's where the dashboard comes in, because as I mentioned before in the review, you get all these really exotic materials on the seats and on the center console area, these nice alcantara and soft leathers, and then you look at the dashboard and it looks like it came straight out of a Honda Odyssey. It's made of this odd sort of rubberized plastic material that you would find in your average Toyota or Nissan, and it just doesn't continue that luxury feel we have throughout the entire interior. And I understand, redoing the entire dashboard to have some sort of leather or suede would cost quite a lot of money, raise the base MSRP of this car. But I really feel like if you're looking at the interior from here back, it just is so luxurious and so nice. But when you're looking forward, as you normally should be when you're driving, it's just a little bit cheap looking. And it's really unfortunate because they did a great job with the rest of the interior. But if you can ignore that huge dashboard, which is very hard to do, but if you can, it is a solid interior. All right, now let's take a quick moment to look at the infotainment systems in this car. As I said before, there are 2 screens. The upper one is an 8-inch screen used for navigation and things like that, whereas the lower one is a touchscreen used for climate controls and a little bit of the radio and media options. And they're both fairly easy to use. Like I said, the lower one is a touchscreen, whereas the upper one is controlled with this little scroll wheel here in the center console area. It's very easy to use. Not only do you press in the middle to enter things, you can scroll with it, but you can also twist it left, right, up, down. So incredibly easy to use, very intuitive system. And you also have this little navigation button right here to get back to your maps. And if you want to connect your smartphone with the standard Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, there's a button for that right here. You just press that, and then obviously you can either plug into the USB port, use Bluetooth, whatever you want to do to get your phone hooked up with this car so you can see your apps displayed on these screens. In terms of the screen itself, like I said, it's a touch screen, but it's very sensitive, easy to use. The graphics are not quite as modern as some luxury cars I've been in, but they're not too bad overall. And all around, it's just a pretty good system. I would give it a pass. Now, the rear seats of the MDX A Spec feature a very similar design to the front, the same material, the same basic layout, and that means that they are incredibly comfortable and offer a decent amount of both legroom and headroom. But what's even more cool about these rear seats is that they can fold back to reveal the third row with just one button. You press that button, the seat automatically, electronically folds down and slides itself forward, providing access to the rear seats of this car. Now, behind those third row seats, you do have 15 cubic feet of cargo space in that trunk, but if you need even more, as you can see in this model, you can fold those third row seats down for a ton of cargo space to fit pretty much anything you want. Make sure to check out some reviews I've done of similar cars by clicking on one of the video cards on the screen right there. And of course, I extend a huge special thanks and shout out to Crown Acura here in Clearwater, Florida for providing me with this MDX A Spec to review today. I'll put a link to the inventory below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching.